Up next on NewsWatch, Tim Kaine accepts his party's nomination for vice president, but this Catholic politician is at odds with church leaders over his pro-choice policies. Plus, meet a homeless family who found a place of refuge because a vacant hospital was transformed into housing for the homeless. And Hating Israel, a new documentary uses satire to poke fun at a movement that seeks to isolate the Jewish state. And thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. One half of the Democratic ticket has accepted the nomination. In Philadelphia last night, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine became the party's nominee for vice president. He's already moving further to the left to appease to a more liberal base. President Obama also took the stage last night, making his case for why Hillary Clinton should succeed him. Jennifer Wishon is in Philadelphia with the story.
It's a scene that took a long time to realize in America. An outgoing black president, flanked by a woman, nominated by a major political party running to replace him. For some, seeing the two embrace was an emotional surprise.
So with the presidency of President Obama and potentially the combination of President Hillary Clinton, I think this affords us a window of opportunity to really revisit and recapture what my father was trying to lead us toward before he was killed.
Tonight, it's Hillary's turn to begin the process of unifying her party and make the case to voters why they should send another Clinton to the White House.
You know what? Here's the most important thing for me. Yeah. I believe it is a mistake when people say Hillary Clinton has to show softness, she has to show tough, she has to build trust. Her deal has to be, this is me, okay? This is who I am. I'm that person who is going to go to work, who's going to stay late, who's going to work hard. Bill Clinton pretty much laid that out in his speech.
Her former rival left no question he thinks she's ready.
There has never been a man or a woman, not me, not Bill, nobody more qualified than Hillary Clinton to serve as President of the United States of America.
For Obama, it's a passing of the torch. He's come full circle, a two-term president who burst onto the national stage just 12 years ago at the 2004 Democratic Convention. Then an unknown Illinois state senator, he would become president of the United States just 4 years later. Now, if Donald Trump wins, his legacy is on the line, and he's working hard to promote a like-minded political veteran.
Hillary's got her share of critics. She has been caricatured by the right and by some on the left. She has been accused of everything you can imagine and some things that you cannot. But she knows that's what happens when you're under a microscope for 40 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Senator Tim Kaine.
Clinton's running mate, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, introduced himself to Democrats. Kaine touted his humble Midwestern roots. The year he took off law school to serve as a missionary in Honduras.
Y allá aprendí los valores del pueblo, fe y familia y trabajo.
And his Jesuit schooling.
Now we had a motto in my school, men for others. And it was there that my faith became something vital, my North Star for orienting my life. And when I left high school, I knew that I wanted to battle for social justice.
He also sharpened his teeth as Clinton's Never Trump attack dog.
He never tells you how he's going to do any of the things he says he'll do. He just says, believe me. So here's the question. Here's the question. Do you really believe him?
Before Kaine took the stage, Vice President Joe Biden showed him how it was done, living up to his nickname, Fighting Joe, telling Democrats Donald Trump doesn't have a clue.
He's trying to tell us he cares about the middle class. Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
For Clinton, Kaine brings a potential win in battleground Virginia.
The Virginia delegation is on fire.
Kane's already moving to the left to appease liberal Democrats. He's reversed himself on the Hyde Amendment, saying he'll fall in line with the new party platform and work to repeal the law that prohibits the use of federal tax dollars for abortion. It's another letdown for pro-life Democrats who already feel like outcasts. They say Planned Parenthood is pulling the strings.
A pro-life Democrat, I'm not really that concerned about the platform because it's only a guiding document and it basically sets out the desires and wishes of those people who drafted it. And the drafting committee is always controlled by Planned Parenthood, which controls a lot of money, the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, which controls a lot of money for candidates.
Abortion rights is just one of the issues important to liberals that Clinton will champion as she works to become the first woman president. Jennifer Wishon reporting from the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia.
Even before he reversed his position on the Hyde Amendment, Tim Kaine has been under fire from Catholic leaders for his pro-abortion policies. On the same day that he was selected as Clinton's running mate, Bishop Francis DiLorenzo from Virginia issued a statement saying, "Catholic teaching informs us that every human life is sacred from conception until natural death, and any law denying the unborn the right to life is unequivocally unjust." Kaine says although he disagrees with abortion, his faith isn't central to his political life. Some Democrats avoid even using the word abortion in public, but Planned Parenthood's president stood center stage at the convention and uttered the word. CBN News spoke with pro-life advocate David Daleiden of the Center for Medical Progress. He says its undercover video has the abortion giant seeking cover.
Planned Parenthood has never been more on the defensive in their 100 years of history than they are today, and that's because of the undercover videos of their senior level leadership talking about harvesting and selling for profit the little tiny hearts and lungs and livers and brains of unborn children.
Daleiden faced legal challenges for this undercover work, but he saw the last of them drop this week. He says Planned Parenthood's client numbers are down, their abortion numbers are down, and their clinic revenue is down.
I think we've really turned a corner because even some of people who would normally be in Planned Parenthood's corner are realizing that all of these different legal actions are based on this really discredited legal theory that somehow undercover work counts as a form of fraud.
Be sure to check out CBN News to see more stories about CMP's videos and their impact on the abortion debate. 2 survivors of last year's Charleston, South Carolina church shooting brought a message of faith and forgiveness to the Democratic National Convention yesterday.
Heal, we must forgive. That's what I've learned this past year. The shooter in Charleston had hate in his heart. The shooter in Orlando had hate in his heart. And the shooter in Dallas did too. So much hate, too much. But as Scripture says, love never fails. So I choose love. And in this election, I choose Hillary Clinton.
Some of the victims' families also praised gun control, saying gun reform may have saved their relatives' lives. New details of that horrific murder of a Catholic priest in France, including images of the 2 attackers released by ISIS. The terror group has claimed responsibility for the attack. One of the hostages said the murderers ordered her husband to take pictures of them posing with the slain priest on their cell phone. Pope Francis spoke out about the attack, saying, "We're at war and we shouldn't be afraid to say it." He said the war is not between religions, but against terrorism. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is offering amnesty to rebels who give up their weapons and surrender to authorities in the next 3 months. The declaration also promises that those who release their captive within the next month will not be punished. The offer comes as government forces are making gains against the rebels near Aleppo. 2 weeks after a failed coup against the government, Turkey is carrying out a brutal crackdown on suspected enemies across all spheres of society. Joe Hurd has this report.
Turkey's Supreme Military Council has already cashiered close to 1,700 officers, including 149 generals and admirals. More dismissals are coming today. 16,000 people have been detained over suspected links to the failed coup, including 10,000 soldiers. More than 45,000 people have been suspended or removed from their jobs. Dozens of news agencies, TV channels, and newspapers have been shut down. Arrest warrants have been issued for 89 journalists. This journalist being taken in by police said, "I have committed no crimes." When asked why he is being detained, he answers, "I don't know why. I'll find out now." Amnesty International calls it a brutal backlash. There are reports that some in custody have been tortured and raped. Some have been hogtied for 2 days. President Erdogan has also indicated Turkey might restore the death penalty to use it against the coup plotters. But that would effectively doom Turkey's bid to join the European Union. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Coming up, this family faced life on the streets. Then they found the River of Refuge. The story when we return. And welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. It was once a hospital in Kansas City, Missouri. Now it is home to families who used to live in pay-by-the-week motels. It's also the vision of a pastor who wanted to show love to his community in a tangible way. Charlene Aaron first brought us this story 6 years ago when the ministry actually got its start. And recently, she returned to Kansas City for the update on the River of Refuge.
Mario Glenn is enjoying raising his 7 children from the comfort of his new 4-bedroom apartment. A big change from where the single dad and his kids once lived after losing their home.
We ended up moving with a friend in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Mario's family is one of several that live here at the River of Refuge. I'm actually standing in one of the apartments here. It's all part of a vision to help the city's homeless have a safe and comfortable place to call home.
Pastor John Wiley is the motivating force behind the program. In 2009, he told CBN News of his dream to turn the vacant Park Lane Hospital into transitional housing for the homeless.
It's a place of refuge where they can get healed with dignity and move out with their own money.
That dream recently became a reality when the first families moved in.
Well, it feels great. It's surreal. 7 years of believing that this was possible. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of families over 7 years, but we couldn't bring them here and give them a transitional place, but now we can. So here we are in a former 150,000 square foot hospital dedicated to families that are living in homelessness.
Wiley says the journey has been long and hard, but worth it.
There were many nights where halfway through this project, I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what have I done? Because we had so many obstacles that seemed to be in the way. But over 7 years, I've watched obstacle after obstacle become removed. And so what it's done for me personally, it's changed my faith. And love compelled me to not walk away and to not give up and to persevere.
Families here live rent and utility free during their entire stay, as a team of caseworkers provide them financial counseling. While learning to break the cycle of homelessness, they can also save money and pay off debts. An on-site pantry allows families to restock their kitchens with non-perishable food, and there's a used clothing store where they can shop for clothing. Program Director Stephanie Keck says rising unemployment and utility costs have forced many families out of their homes, creating demand for programs like this.
The first 24 hours, I had close to 30 people calling for help just in that first 24 hours. And we still get on average probably 20 people a week asking for help. This morning, I had 6 calls for people asking, can I apply for your program?
Michelle Robinson moved here from Florida with her husband and 2 small children. Soon after arriving, her husband's job fell through, and River of Refuge gave them a lifeline.
We were living in a hotel before here, and the length of time just drained our savings, and it was a matter of a week we were going to be in our van. So it was by the grace of God that I found this place, and we were able to move in here and have a roof over our head.
Mario admits that he initially felt skeptical about the organization.
I didn't even believe it was real. When I got in here, out here sitting around waiting on, like, okay, what's the catch? It's always a catch, but it wasn't a catch here. They just generally want to see people do better.
For that, his children are beyond grateful.
Most of all, it's not a lot of weight on my daddy, because when we had to keep moving around and he had to pay the rent, and now here you don't have to pay rent, but you have to save up money for your next house.
Not even enough breath in my body. How many thank you they deserve for what they have helped us with and done for us.
Wiley makes it clear he didn't do this alone.
So much has happened where I had the idea of doing this, but really it's not about me, it's about all the people that have donated and believed in it. We had one company donate $1.2 million for a new roof. All the materials, all the labor. Another company came and did $300,000 to build out the 11 units. The UMKC, University of Kansas City, Missouri, gave us over 200 oak bunk beds, donated the first week we opened the hospital.
CBN also played a huge role. When CBN's Gordon Robertson saw Wiley's story on the 700 Club, he invited him to CBN to learn more about the project. Wiley left with encouragement and the largest donation River of Refuge had received at that time.
That gift that CBN gave grew and grew and grew, and it's grown to be worth millions now of other contributions. And I think about the families that are living here now, the hundreds of children, and the families that will come here for decades to come will all be touched because of the generosity of CBN and its donors.
For now, 11 apartment units are complete, and River of Refuge needs more financial help before it can bring in more families. Meanwhile, Wiley shares this encouragement for pastors across the country.
You don't need a lot of money or a big building. What you have is the most incredible gift. Love attracts a crowd. Love is the most compelling force. There are motel families in every city, in every municipality, and I challenge my friends who love Jesus. Go find a motel family and don't try to fix all their problems. Just become their friends. Ask them what they need. Open your living room. Open your checkbook. And love the people who see.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Kansas City, Missouri.
And next, enemies of Israel are trying to impose an economic boycott on the Jewish state. We'll show you how a Christian comedian who is exposing their hypocrisy with humor. There is a growing worldwide movement against Israel. It compares the Jewish state's treatment of Palestinians to South Africa's treatment of blacks during the apartheid era, known as BDS. It urges countries and businesses to boycott, divest from, and sanction Israel. As Chris Mitchell reports, a cutting-edge documentary is attacking this notion with a heavy dose of satire.
The film is called Hating Israel and features Christian comedian Brad Stein and his search for the truth behind BDS.
And so my journey begins.
The documentary takes a humorous approach to puncture the stereotype of what the world says about Israel.
They say it's an apartheid state, the world's pariah, an occupier, basically the world's greatest boogeyman. Even better than North Korea, Iran, and Sudan combined, especially if you ask the United Nations.
What do you got?
It is as if they enter the Twilight Zone.
There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man.
I hope that the format that we created with the humor does not in any way trivialize this very important subject, but makes it palatable enough that people that maybe don't think it even matters will give it a listen and actually think, you know what, this is wrong.
The new platform to deliver anti-Semitism today is through the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement.
Filmmaker Stan Moore and his wife Lori produced the movie.
We can't just take what the mainstream media tells us. We can't just listen to some of the leaders and the academics who are trying to convince us that we should be boycotting Israel. We shouldn't be supporting the Zionist state.
Its cutting-edge nature aims to reach a new generation.
This is not your daddy's documentary, okay? This is aimed at a millennial, younger audience. We got to get to those younger people because really they're the ones that's going to make the difference. Preaching to the choir is one thing, and that will get us so far. But we can't get those young people to understand that hating Israel is not funny.
To your people, Palestinians have been here how many? We've been here from the time of Adam and Eve.
Especially as Christians, it is our biblical responsibility to stand up and not allow our brother Israel or the Jewish people to stand alone and fight this battle alone.
It's a funny movie about a serious topic.
You're the Shaw. I wonder what happened to you. Thank you so much. He ended up here.
And I just believe that I'm at a time in my career where I can just make money and make people laugh, or I can leave a legacy. And I felt like this was important, that I was going to be willing to put myself in a position where what God has gifted me with as a communicator, to tell Israel's story, to remind Christians that this is your duty by God to defend this nation, these people.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Tough lessons sometimes go down better with a little laughter. Stay with us. We're coming right back. A fireball lit up the sky over Nevada, Utah, and California last night. Officials from the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles suspect the flaming sphere was part of a meteor. Social media erupted with photos and videos of the fiery dot streaking across the night sky. Well, it is now time for your Thursday Thankful, and I hope you will join me in this prayer of gratitude. It's something I'm personally embracing in this moment. Lord, thank you for reminding me that when I fully focus on you and all other things are handled, I hold on to that promise. His word clearly says, seek ye first the kingdom, and all other things will be added unto you. Isn't it nice to know if you focus on him, he will handle the rest? Doesn't that make the load just a little bit lighter? Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you back here tomorrow.